Yes, welcome to the Bassmaster Elite Series. I tell you what, we are going full speed down the back stretch, the last half of this season for 2017. Welcome to the Toyota Bassmaster Studios. I'm Tommy Sanders here with Davey Height, and two tournaments we're focusing on today. The St. Lawrence River, you may know it as the Thousand Islands, legendary place for the Bassmasters. Always anticipate going back there, but we start out with Lake Dardanelle, and that's been pretty popular with the Bassmasters for the last few years.
It certainly has. We've been going to St. Lawrence for about 25 years or so, but Lake Dardanelle, been there quite a few times. The neat thing about Lake Dardanelle, every single time we go there, the conditions are different. A lot of rain there this time.
Absolutely. Let's look at it this time with our Yamaha Unlock the Lake, Lake Dardanelle on the Arkansas River, which is basically a series of navigation pools all the way from Tulsa down to the Mississippi. Lake Dardanelle, one of them there. And of course, lots of different environments, big creeks, big feeder creeks. But this time around, with the spring rains, you've got to find some clean water.
You really do. Look at this shot right here, Tommy. It's incredible the way the mud line is meeting that clear water. All of the top anglers will be looking for that clear water. That's where those bass want to be this time of year.
Let's take a look at day one, Russellville, Arkansas, and Lake Dardanelle. And how about this? Kevin Van Dam shining big time there. How about 19 pounds and 3 ounces to take the lead after the first day's fishing here on Lake Dardanelle as we look at Kevin Van Dam in action on day number 2. He's got a pretty good relationship with this place. I say more or less. We look at that 2014 71st place, but otherwise, Davey, all top 10 stuff.
Yeah, all top 10s. He kind of stumped his toe there in 2014, but he knows this place really, really well. He knows how it lays out, and he certainly knows how these fish relate to current. Current is so important at Lake Dardanelle.
Here we go. Big one. That's the one. Finally.
We are making our way through day number 2 pretty fast, so you did not see the hours of agony as Kevin Van Dam, Davey, was waiting for his first keeper.
He really was. Things definitely changed from day 1 to day 2, but Kevin kept changing around, going from shallow to deep. He's in some stained water here, fishing around some boat docks, and man, when he got on a little deal, he made it happen in a hurry.
Yeah, only 12.5 pounds. That's a big fall off from the 19 pounds plus on day number 1, but the guy who took over the lead, Mount Ida, just maybe 70 miles away. Mount Ida, Arkansas, and the leader, Mark Davis.
19 pounds and 4 ounces. Mark Davis weighs in the biggest bag of the tournament on day number 2.
Mark Davis, certainly an Arkansas hero and a true hero in the sport of bass fishing, ready to go on day number 3. And Davey, he's biting off a whole lot of Lake Dardanelle for his trip.
He certainly is. He's going way upriver and starting out really shallow, catching a lot of fish early, but like Mark Davis said, he hopes that he's able to fish offshore later in the day because that's truly what he loves to do.
Made a 40-minute run this morning, roughly 40 miles up the Arkansas River into a little small ditch. And the river's flooded up here, so normally this area is not really even accessible. But because the river's so high, they're running about 160,000 cubic feet per second out of the dam. You can see all these bushes that are flooded. This is just an old dike, got some rocks on it. Normally it's 6 feet out of the water, but the water's up over it. This water in here is clean. So this is our starting spot. We'll just see how it goes. Kentucky.
If you go a long ride, you want some quick feedback, and Mark Davis is on the board with that one right there. Good thing about this high water, Davey, you have the opportunity to kind of run away and hide from everybody.
Yeah, Mark Davis has certainly done that. He's got a great starting spot. It's been very good to him every single morning. This high water opens up places that you normally can't get to, and the clear water is certainly the key. Him and Steve Kennedy both have found places that normally you can't get to, and those fish are migrating in.
All right, day number 3 weigh in, and there's Mark Davis with his total weight there. A good fall off from day number 2, but that was an extraordinary day number 2 with 19 pounds and 4 ounces. 14-15 on day number 2, and there's your leaderboard. As we head after day number 3 into our finals, there are the 12 who will fish for the $100,000 and the all-important points. On this final day, championship day on Lake Dardanelle, and Mark Davis, can he hang on and win this thing? For his great record, the only man to ever win Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year and the Classic in the same year. And Mark Davis, though, it's been about a dozen years since his last victory. He'd like to close it. Steve Kennedy, definitely giving pursuit. Second place at the Classic this year. He'd like to change that look around a little bit. The rain is on its way, but these guys are going to continue to catch them on Lake Dardanelle when we come back.
It's raining, bro.
The GoPro Bassmaster Elite at Dardanelle, presented by Econo Lodge, is brought to you by SKEETER Boats, Power Pole, Toyota, and by Nitro Boats.
We're back, the Bassmaster Elite Series, GoPro Bassmaster Elite at Lake Dardanelle, presented by Econo Lodge. We're in the second half of the season for the Bassmaster Elite Series, and on this final day, championship day, we are down to 12 anglers who are going to try to get it done. The weights are very, very close. A lot of these guys doing very, very different things, including Steve Kennedy and Mark Davis.
I'm not confident they're going to be there, but I really think there's going to be mud moved in where I caught those biggest ones yesterday, so I have concerns, but it's what got me here, and I got to go check it first.
Well, here we go. It's day 4. We got the lead only by 9 ounces. We're going to run about 45 minutes, and hopefully the rain didn't mess it up. Find out in 45 minutes.
45-minute ride that will traverse the majority of the length of this Dardanelle pool on the Arkansas River. Both Mark Davis and Steve Kennedy making this trip up here from Russellville to the top of the pool, just below the dam in Ozark, Arkansas, Davey.
Yes, Tommy, the key for Mark Davis and for Steve Kennedy, they found places that clear water is trapped back in this areas, close to mining pits. Mark Davis is real close to a rock quarry. Steve Kennedy in a sand gravel pit. Clear water is the key. Had a lot of rain overnight, and these guys are both concerned whether they're going to have that clear water today.
Absolutely. Of course, everyone said the water is starting to fall out of the lake right now, but these guys needed to stay just a day longer.
Pretty good one. Yes. That's the way to start the morning right there. That's the way to start the day right there. Man, that was huge to make this run. Throw an old Strike King 60 dog out there, it's gonna whop. I mean, like the third cast, catch a 4. That's good. I was worried this thing was not work today with the water as high as it is. But maybe it's gonna work. We'll find out. Come across that little sweet spot there again.
Well, I'd say Mark Davis has a sweet spot. It's a road bed with clear water, lots of shad, and lots of bass there for sure.
Well, for as obscure a place as Mark Davis is in, Steve Kennedy's spot may be even more obscure and little known, but Steve Kennedy has made it pay so far. He, too, has made the commitment, and he's expecting big things out of this little sand mining operation today.
Water's come up. Mud has moved back up in here, so the area where I caught some of my better fish yesterday is a little bit muddier, a little bit higher. And, I was kind of expecting this. They had 5 pretty quick in here the second day. Yesterday I had 4 in the first 30, 40 minutes. And I didn't feel like it was as good as the day before, so I was expecting this. I only expected 2 or 3. Maybe this will keep. But anyway, they're smaller, but I think you might actually keep.
Steve Kennedy on the board, moving into second place. The truth be known, though, he'd like to see that one turn back, culled out before the day is over. He's up at the top of the pool, and right now let's take a trip back downriver to Dean Rojas 5th place to start this day, and we talk about the vegetation here is legendary, main river, backwaters, and of course the swim jigs are big, and of course what he's doing is pretty big too as we head for our Skeeter boats Taste the Bait, Davey.
Yeah, Tommy Sanders, when you see Dean Rojas around vegetation, you know he's going to be throwing a Spro bronze-eye frog. He's a master at it, and he's really targeting on this vegetation, the corners, the points where these fish set up to ambush, and when you make that perfect cast right on the point of that grass, you usually get a strike.
Another one off the mat. Look at that, just choked it. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that awesome? Whew. That's right where you want to hook them, right on top of the mouth like that.
Picture perfect from start to finish. A good keeper for Dean Rojas. That's going to move him up into 2nd place and nudging down into 3rd place. This man right here, Steve Kennedy, laboring on upriver.
I don't know. It might make it, but it might make it. Another keeper! Not much to get excited about yet, but that's the first bite I've had over here, though. It's first pitch into that stuff.
Well, it's shaking up to be a great tournament. You've got Dean Rojas throwing a frog and Steve Kennedy swimming a jig. Everybody knows how good he is with swimming a jig. Almost won the Bassmaster Classic this year doing the same thing.
Yeah, 2nd place at the Bassmaster Classic and fell victim to the greatest comeback ever. Jordan Lee, that's a bit of bad luck for Steve Kennedy, but a lot could be made to feel better if he could pull off a win right here. There's plenty more fish in this spot that Kennedy is working so hard. We'll take a break. Be right back to Lake Dardanelle.
I don't know if that's 100,000 yet. I feel like I got to call one more.
Welcome back to the GoPro Bassmaster Elite Series tournament at Lake Dardanelle in Arkansas, presented by Econo Lodge. We are in the final day of competition, championship day. That's right, it means we got 12 anglers left in this thing. Mark Davis currently leading the way with a 3-pound plus advantage over Steve Kennedy, Kevin Van Dam, Dean Rojas, Mark Menendez. But all of those top 5 still have a shot at taking the whole thing here back up to Mark Davis in this backwater area, which you look at the color of the water here, Davey, and you know part of the attraction.
Steve Kennedy and Mark Davis both were concerned if muddy water had moved into their areas. After about a 45, 50-mile ride, it looks like Mark Davis is going to be just fine today. His first fish of the day is a real nice one. He wanted to have about 13 or 14 pounds when he left this area and then go fish offshore where Mark Davis always shines.
I'm hoping to get one more than 4-pound bites and then go to my other fish and win the tournament. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't think I can win it down there below. Those fish are averaging, 2.5, 3 pounds. And if you catch a 4 or 5 pounder, it seems like all the ones I've been catching are right here. We just have to hope and pray that we get one more good one. 2 would be better, but if I can just get one more of them good heavy ones here.
Well, another keeper for Mark Davis, not the 4 or 5 pounder that he's looking for before, as he says, he may go on to his 2nd location, his 2nd spot to fish on this final day as we get back over to Steve Kennedy, still in 2nd place, chasing Mark Davis.
It's been a long time since Steve Kennedy won a Bassmaster Elite tournament, and let me tell you from experience, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Holy. That one will help. Yes, sir. That's 4. We might have to stay all day now. It's a chunk. Y'all get one? I probably hadn't made a pitch over in there all week. me some of that. Boom. I said it hadn't been worth my time to even pitch over in this stuff because they've always been sitting on the outside edge. But no, I got hung, so I got over here a little bit tighter and dabbled it in there. Smoked it.
Well, as Steve Kennedy said, he dabbled it in there right to the middle of that willow tree. Those fish have moved in there, rising water, and the water's a little more stained. He's not getting as many bites as he did the previous days, but the quality is certainly there.
All right, we're going to move from Steve Kennedy. That keeper helps him as he tries to run down the leader. Mark Davis will go now to one of the other big stories of this season, 2017 on the Bassmaster Elite Series. This man, 44-year-old rookie, Jamie Hartman from up in the Lake Oneida area, New York State. And Jamie Hartman came out here and has a great start to the year, finishing second place at the first tournament on Lake Cherokee, and has been more or less on point all season long. You can look right there. As well as he's done this year, still trailing Mark Daniels and Dustin Connell, but Jamie Hartman definitely has acquitted himself well as a rookie. And he's out there trying to get it done today.
Where was the lightning? I didn't see no lightning. You get lightning, you get a little bit of warning. That one made me slightly poop. It's raining, bro. You dare come off. You dare come off. It's raining, bro. It's freaking downpouring, bro. Let it soak. Number 2.
Nice keeper for Jamie Hartman. No problems with the rain for this guy. The problem is finding some bigger bass and bigger numbers. Got to play catch up on this final day on Lake Dardanelle as we head back up the pool. And there's Steve Kennedy. Again, that sort of flooded sand and gravel mining operation up there that has been doing pretty well for Steve all week long, currently in second place, looking for his third Bassmaster Elite Series victory. It's been a decade since his first victory, which was out in Clear Lake, California. I know you remember that one, Davey. He set the record at the time for the best 4 days.
He certainly did, and what a show he put on that tournament. I caught a few fish in that one. A lot of folks did, but Steve Kennedy outclassed the field for sure.
I'm due for a win. That's all I can tell you. I finished second, third, second in the Classic, third last year at Wheeler. I mean, I feel like I'm right there. So many opportunities to win. I mean, and hadn't been able to pull it off lately. And I don't know why, I don't know, but you know, after you miss a couple like that, you really, 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 really want to get it done. Oh, the money, that's him. That's what we're looking for. It's more than a 4. It's like a 5 or 6. Not in a tree. Please stay on there. Please stay on there. Please stay on there. Please stay on. Are you freaking kidding me? Biggest one I've caught all week by a long shot. Come on, baby. Wear yourself out. One shot, one shot, one shot. No. Oh, dude. Are you believing that? That's what we're in here looking for, a bite. And I probably ought to show it from this side. Look at the spots on that joker, but I don't know if that's 100,000 yet. I feel like I gotta cull one more, but guys, we're back in the hunt with one fish. I believe it. Wow.
Well, he's certainly back in the hunt with one fish. I've been thinking the whole time that Steve Kennedy is in an area that you normally can't access from the river, there'd be resident fish in there that might be bigger than the fish that these other anglers are able to try to target.
Will that be enough for the win? We're about to have the reckoning back in Russellville.
From Auburn, Alabama, Steve Kennedy. He started the day with 47 pounds and 3 ounces and looks like he's had a good day here today, looking for 13.9. 16 pounds, 9 ounces. 16.9 with 63 pounds, 12 ounces. Steve Kennedy is your tournament leader. Pig Suey! Our next angler, you've already met him, left the dock with the lead from Mount Ida, Arkansas, Mark Davis. Let's get side by side. Steve, come on over here. We're going to decide our champion right here. He's got 5 fish, looking for 15 pounds and 5 ounces. 13 pounds, 10 ounces. Steve Kennedy has done it. Steve Kennedy becomes a 3-time Bassmaster Elite Series champion.
Well, a great one for Steve Kennedy, his first win a decade ago at Clear Lake in California. A few years after that, West Point Lake in Georgia. And now this come-from-behind victory over the local favorite, Mark Davis. Steve Kennedy, your champion on Lake Dardanelle.
The Hook Bassmaster Elite at St. Lawrence, presented by Go RV, is brought to you by Shell Rotella, Triton Boats, Mercury, and by Berkeley.
13 pounds, 10 ounces. Steve Kennedy has done it.
Elite Series win number 3 for Steve Kennedy, and you heard him, been so close so many times. A lot of guys can tell that tale, but right there, hats off to Steve because that's a self-made success. He found that out-of-the-way spot that even a lot of the locals didn't know about.
They didn't know about it because normally the water's not that high. Steve Kennedy found a place you normally can't even access, so hats off to him for going out and finding that place that ended up being the winning spot.
All right, we're headed now to a place with a completely different look, so vast. The St. Lawrence River, not only great, challenging fishing, but also a great place to have a tournament. The crowd turnout, 34,100, all-time record there in 2013.
Yeah, not only a good crowd, but you have big fish. It's a great area of the country to be in, especially in the summertime. The fish are big.
Well, the St. Lawrence River is a long way from Lake Dardanelle, but day one looked very similar. The man in charge, Kevin Van Dam.
Kevin Van Dam with a big bag of fish here. 5 fish, looking for 23.7, 24 pounds, 5 ounces. 24.5 as KVD sets his targets on win number 24. He starts it off with 24 pounds and 5 ounces.
Well, almost 24.5 for Kevin Van Dam. That certainly got the attention of all the fishing fans and all of the fishermen as well as we get ready to start day number 2 on the St. Lawrence River, and Kevin Van Dam heading out to his first spot.
Oh, I see one. Oh, great big one. Biggin. 5-pounder. Need this one. Damn, there's a bunch of his buddies over here now, swimming around with him. Look at them all underneath him right there. Oh, he's not a 5, but he's a solid 4. You can see a lot of these fish, some of these shallow ones. I've been kind of mixing it up between shallow and deep, and you can see a lot of these fish at times, and they can be really fussy. I don't know where all them other ones went. Oh, I see. Got another one.
Yesterday, Kevin started offshore. He and Matt Lee were sharing an area and was able to catch most of what he weighed in a hurry, so it gave him a lot of the day to go find some shallow water smallmouth. Today, the skies are clear, the sun's out, and Kevin Van Dam has certainly located the right size.
Yeah, the water a lot flatter on this day, and Kevin Van Dam not catching quite the numbers of huge fish, big 4 and 5 pounders on this day, but still finding the conditions very much to his liking as the Friday crowd, comes into Waddington to take a look at this weigh-in. Can Kevin Van Dam hang on to that lead, keep alive the hopes of winning this one wire to wire? Yes, sir, absolutely he can. His day 2 weight of 19 pounds and 8 ounces. Good enough for first place after 2 days of fishing here on the St. Lawrence River. Let's take a look at the top of that leaderboard. Also, Jonathan Van Dam, his nephew, there in 3rd place. Mississippi's Brock Mosley in 5th. Brandon Coulter from Tennessee, and right between Kevin Van Dam and Jonathan Van Dam, it's where you find Casey Ashley, who comes into this one right in the thick of it in the race for Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year. As we get ready to go on day number 3, everyone with a whole lot of nerves right now, a lot of anticipation for what might happen on this day. Can you make a move?
We got our work cut out for us today, I can tell you that, but I feel good about it, you know. It's kind of not the people you want right in front of you and behind you, but we'll make it work.
It's funny, I'm staying with Casey too, so we got back to the house last night. He's like, man, I was a South Carolina boy, and a Van Dam sandwich in smallmouth country isn't a place you want to be. I said, mate, you're doing just fine, bud.
Well, Casey Ashley is doing just fine, but so are the Van Dams, that's for sure. The one thing that's been really surprising here on the St. Lawrence River, as the winds have calmed down, a lot of these fishermen are going to the shoreline. They're going fishing around the sand, the reeds, that sort of thing. If you can see, you can sight fish for these smallmouth bass, even though they're not actually spawning.
Yeah, and the weather, the calm conditions, certainly perfect for that sort of fishing, locating fish that way. The thing is, during the course of the rest of this tournament, that weather is going to change. That visibility may not be available to these anglers come day number 4.
Yeah, it probably won't be, but the thing about these guys, the Van Dams for sure, and most of these elite anglers are all just so good. If they just get a day or 2 of calm winds where they can see the bottom and see where these fish are set up, they'll make a waypoint, they'll make a mental note and come back to these fish even though they can't see them.
Biggin'. Stay on. Stay on there, baby. Come on. Pull so hard. Come on. This is the fun part. Come here. Come here, come here, give me your mouth. Gotcha. That's how you want to start right there.
Jonathan Van Dam starting this day in 3rd place. First place, of course, is Uncle Kevin Van Dam, and Jonathan Van Dam, of course, from Kalamazoo, Michigan. So geographically and, of course, genetically, I guess you might say, he's had the perfect storm of an education as far as catching smallmouth, and he owns a smallmouth victory on the Bassmaster Elite Series already.
He really does. He's tightening the Van Dam sandwich. He's removing Casey Ashley, so it's just 2 Van Dams at the top, the way Jonathan Van Dam is making his move today. Certainly a great young fisherman. His dad, Randy, Kevin's brother, the whole family, just great fishermen, and they certainly know how to target these smallmouth. Whether you have windy conditions or calm conditions, they certainly know how to adjust from a lot of experience.
Here's one. Be a biggin'. It is. Yeah, it's a great biggin'. I saw a great big one here yesterday. I hope it's him. There's another 3-4 more with him. Gosh, dog. And they're all still swimming with him. He's not a mega giant. God, fat. Good one. It's one. I'd have 4 more like that.
That's the one you want to put on your live well as keeper number 1 on this 3rd day of competition on the St. Lawrence River. Kevin Van Dam, and Davey, you can sort of lay us out as to where this place is located within the whole of the fishery right here.
Well, they're about 30 miles from takeoff. Still a long ways to the lake. A lot of guys are spread out from takeoff all the way down to Lake Ontario. But if you notice where Kevin's fishing, these islands that are out in the middle of the river, and it's all about current and current breaks. These smallmouth love to relate to those things, and Kevin Van Dam is doing a good job figuring out exactly where these fish are set up around these islands. Like I said, the calm winds, the bright sun was let him able to see these fish visually, and once Kevin Van Dam sees where they're located, he certainly knows how to catch them.
Biggin. That is a biggin. Here's a biggin.
That's certainly the kind you need to catch. Kevin Van Dam seems to just be catching these big smallmouth. It's extremely hard to win a Bassmaster Elite tournament, let alone wire to wire. But boy, it looks like Kevin's got it going on.
Yeah, an upgrade from day number 2, 22 pounds and 10 ounces. He has got that lead for the 3rd day straight, and there's the top 12 who will duke it out on the final day looking for the championship. And 10 of these guys know they've got to have maybe their best day of the tournament so far. They've got to catch big fish, and plenty of them. They got to catch fish. They got to do what they can to catch the Van Dams. Kevin and Jonathan on top of the leaderboard with one more day.
All these guys are on the same size fish, and these groups are there. You just have to get the really big ones to bite.
I'm going to have a 5 or 6 pound deficit to Kevin. He's got more today than what I had.
I'll have to catch a big bag tomorrow, but I definitely want to stay in that top 5 to salvage the points.
I know where they're living. I mean, I know whether it's a 25 pound bag right now. I don't know if I can catch them, but I'm sure going to try.
I feel like definitely get a shot tomorrow. So, if I can execute and get the right bites, anything is possible.
I'm going to have to catch 25 to even have a chance.
I'm trying not to think about it too much, but it's still in the back of your mind to make you push. Paul Nick caught 25 pounds on day 2, so it can happen.
Great to be back here in Waddington, New York. You see the sign where the world comes to fish. Why wouldn't you? Great destination in the summertime here. A small town with a great population of fishing fans. That much we can tell you. Here in the surrounding area, the St. Lawrence River on its way to the Atlantic Ocean, carrying all that water, all that fresh water from the Great Lakes of these United States, as we look at the 12 boats who are lined up and ready to go on this final day, championship day, about 8.5 hours of fishing for these guys. And at the end, will it be Kevin Van Dam winning wire to wire?
Takeoff. You've led this deal since day number 1. A wire-to-wire win is a pretty rare thing on the Elite Series. How you feeling this morning?
Oh, I feel great. It's been, it's been a great week so far. I stumbled a little bit the second day, and yesterday, had a good comeback. But I've been fortunate to win quite a few times, and I've never taken it for granted. It's so hard. You never know which one's going to be your last, or if you're ever going to have one again. So to be in this position makes me feel mighty good.
It's going to be a lot of fun to watch for just about.
Well, I'm sure Kevin Van Dam feels mighty good because he's led the first 3 days, and this final day, the wind has been changing. It blew the first day, and then the second 2 days calm. Brandon Polnick called the biggest stringer of the tournament so far, and the wind's not blowing in the direction that Brandon needs today.
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin Van Dam talking about the visibility issue is going to be a bit different today, but a lot of these guys have done their work in locating.
We got a strong, pretty, 10, 15 mile an hour east wind, and, it's going to back up the current a little bit for sure, but, the current's still flowing. The fish probably roam around a lot more today with the clouds too, so. Fish on. Biggin. Oh, it's a biggin. That's one. Just need 5 just like that.
Well, like Kevin said there, that's one. But when you come to the St. Lawrence River, numbers are not going to be a problem. Catching those big ones. And Kevin Van Dam certainly put the right size fish in his live well first.
Let's go to Brandon Polinick now, starting this final day in third place. And Brandon Polinick making a pretty prodigious run all the way down to Cape Vincent. It has served him well making this run. He's done it before in this tournament. Did it on day number 2, in which he climbed from 72nd place after the first day all the way into 9th place with the biggest stringer so far in the tournament, 25 pounds. That's certainly, yes, that's going to qualify him for the Mercury Move of the Day. Biggest bag of the day on day number 2, definitely this one right here, 25 pounds.
Well, the biggest bag of the tournament so far, Tommy, but that also saved Brandon Polinick in the Angler of the Year race.
Yeah, he's been having a good year with one exception so far. Look at that scoreboard right there. That's a good card with that Lake Okeechobee if you could throw that 105th place out. But when you climb from 72nd all the way into 9th place, that's how you score some big points, and that has him right in the thick of it for Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year.
There we go. Be a big one. That's not bad. I'm gonna stay on there. Don't you jump. He's not that big. Started off with that though. That'll at least make the run worth it. It's almost 4 pounds, 3 3/4.
Exactly, that's a nice first fish for Brandon Polinick. It's taken a while, but a lot of that has been run time. That is a prodigious run he is making up the river to that spot right there, that sort of famous community hole. Now over to Brent Ayler, starting this day in 4th place with 63 pounds after 3 days of fishing. And Brent Ayler, definitely like Kevin Van Dam, known as a guy who, when he finds a pile of fish, can exploit it.
So crazy that the difference in conditions from the first couple days till today. I mean, that wind is moving pretty good out of the north. We haven't seen that yet. Everything's been blowing out of the south, but it's been a little bit later in the day. Took us about, I don't know, 20 minutes longer to get here than it has the last 2 days. Yeah, that's a little better one there. That'll get rid of green if I can land it. You can't slow them down. Man, this is so fun, but it's crazy. You're sitting here catching 2 3/4, 3 pounders. You're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever, but good enough to put Brent Ayler in the lead. He has taken it away from Kevin Van Dam with that flurry right there, but Van Dam far from done.
Another big one. Might be the biggest one I've seen yet. He's fighting like it too. Giant, dude. That's a freaking giant. Ooh, we need this one. Oh, come on, don't do this. That is way. Look at the size of that one. That's a 6+. That's a slong, Z-Train. Gigantor. That just happened. Wow. Wow. I got 2 for over 10 to start the day, so you can't script that much better.
Absolutely right, and that is a script that is well known to all his fellow competitors here in professional bass fishing. Can Kevin Van Dam win wire to wire on the St. Lawrence?
The Hook Bassmaster Elite at St. Lawrence, presented by Go RV, is brought to you by Humminbird, Hook. Yamaha. And by Minn Kota.
Final day, championship day right here. Kevin Van Dam in the lead, but look at right now, Brock Mosley of Mississippi, the second-year man, has moved into the second spot. He has had a fantastic week, Davey.
He certainly has. A great young fisherman and did a great job on the water with the cameras and that sort of thing. Got a bright future in front of him. Catching these smallmouth bass and trying to take over King Kong of smallmouth bass fishing, Kevin Van Dam.
Brock Mosley, like a growing number every year on the Bassmaster Elite Series, a guy who came up through the ranks of the Carhartt College Bassmaster Series. As we get back to our tournament leader right now with 85 plus, Kevin Van Dam.
Oh, one just bumped it. Got it. That's a big one. A 5-pounder. Oh, he's got just one hook now too. Great big one with it. And he's barely hooked. Come on, baby. Got him. That's a good one.
Catching them steady and catching good ones too, just what you have to do to win a tournament here against the best anglers in the world. Kevin Van Dam continues on his mission to win this thing wire to wire. As we take a look at Brandon Polnick, who started this day in third place.
That's a big one.
Made the big run upstream, and this is the one he's been looking for some time today.
Oh, not a giant, but it'll get rid of that 12-incher.
Yeah, it's been a little slower for Brandon today. The wind direction change is not in his favor. When he caught the 25-pound bag on day 2, the wind was blowing 180 degrees different from this. It's a lot tougher for Brandon today.
That's what I'm talking about. That's more what we need right there. We need 4 more just like that. That's a beautiful fish. It's not a bad call, huh? I think that'll do, right? It's a decent call.
Really good upgrade for Brandon Polnick right there, but still in all, he hasn't done much to eat into Kevin Van Dam's prodigious lead, which just seems to keep growing on this final day.
Big one. Ho, 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 ho. Great big one. This is the one we need right here. Oh God, he's only got one little bitty hook in him now. Lights out! Boom! 5-pounder. Be pretty hard to get beat now.
That's an understatement. Davey, I think the lights have been out for a good while here, as a matter of fact.
The lights have basically been out since day 1. Kevin Van Dam, wire to wire. I guess we have to go to weigh-in and make this official, though.
Absolutely. Again, a giant crowd at Waddington ready to see one of the heroes of the sport.
He is a 23-time Bassmaster winner, a 7-time Toyota Bassmaster Angler of the Year, a 4-time Classic champion from Kalamazoo, Michigan, KVD, Kevin Van Dam. Brock, come on by side. 66 pounds, 7 ounces. We're looking for 15-13. 23 pounds, 12 ounces. KVD slams the door on number 24.
Just incredible. Win number 24. Let that number sink in. 24 wins for Kevin Van Dam. Of all his great stats, that's probably the most impressive as we head for the Shell Rotella Bassmaster Garage. And Davey, two great champions, Kennedy, Van Dam, two different places. Both places, a lot of baits in play.
A lot of baits in play for sure. Once again, Kevin Van Dam surprises most of the field by catching his fish on a jerkbait at Lake Dardanelle. Stained water, day one later on a jerkbait, Kevin Van Dam. But then we really focused on Mark Davis and Steve Kenney for the rest of the tournament. Mark Davis was using a lot of top water, poppers and walkers, a white buzz bait, caught a lot of good fish. He had one very special spot. Steve Kennedy also had a special spot, and he was swimming a jig. Primarily a white jig, but that final fish we saw him catch was on a brim color jig, but there again, swimming it through those willows and that sort of thing. Great techniques.
Yeah, now KVD, the St. Lawrence, he made it look easy, but it was not a one-note deal. He had to switch things up a lot.
They sure did, and all the folks were. We were covering the top five for sure, and they were drop shotting, throwing jerk baits, swim baits, but this spin bait was what really he caught most of his big fish on that final day for sure. There were some other guys throwing it. It's a great bait to throw in clear water. Very subtle, those smallmouth, when they're timid, they will bite this bait.
All right, well, this season is moving along so fast. The next time we see you, we're going to wrap it up with two great events at two epic places, Lake Champlain and Lake St. Clair, next time on the Bassmaster Elite Series.